How effective have my efforts to improve soil health using principles from regenerative agriculture been? Which methods are more productive? I'm Rob from Dowdle Family Farms, and even though I've seen a world of a lot of benefit on the farm over the last several years as we've applied these principles of regenerative agriculture, and today I'm going to use a simple water infiltration test and see how that sheds some light on some of our soil practices. Over the last 12 months, drought has been a significant issue on our farm. In fact, almost 6 months of the last 12 months have been very, very dry. And so our soil's ability to capture and hold water is critical to help mitigate the impact of drought. And sometimes we get a lot of rain real fast, and if our soil isn't able to absorb that rain quickly, most of it runs off the fields. So for each 1% of organic matter in the soil down to about 12 inches deep, the soil can hold the equivalent of almost 1 inch of rainfall. And that's rain that's available directly to the plant, not rain that evaporates quickly or runs off the ground, but is there for the plants in the soil. So I'm setting up a simple water infiltration test to measure how quickly our soil can absorb and hold water in different areas of the farm where we've applied different principles of a regenerative agriculture. Before we begin, let me describe the test. I'll start with this 6-inch clear tube. If you wanted to try this for yourself, you don't have to use a clear tube. I'm just using a clear tube to make recording easier. I've also got a dead blow hammer to drive the tube into the ground, a 2x4 to apply the dead hammer to the polycarbonate tube, and I've got a solid piece of plastic with no holes. This 10-acre field from those tree lines all the way around there is one that we've been using for the last year and a half, growing cover crops for our livestock to graze. Historically, it's one of the 2 worst performing soils on the farm. We'll come back and measure this field later, but right here is outside that fence. We've got a gravel road here, and most of the time this is just mowed. Occasionally we'll have cattle come through here and graze it, but for the most part, where I'm testing right here is not an area that we use much. So the first thing I'm going to do is drive the tube into the ground just far enough so that the water cannot leak around the bottom of the tube. So I'm going to set this cut up plastic bag. I've made sure it doesn't have any holes. When I fill it up with water, water won't seep around the edges. I've refilled this old 16.9 ounce bottle of water with water, so it's getting almost 500 milliliters of water. I think 470 milliliters of water or something like that is the equivalent of 1 inch of rain. All right, no water's leaking around the edges, so now I jerk it out. Now I'll see how long it takes for the water to completely absorb. I was not expecting it to take this long. It takes water a while to infiltrate this hard clay soil. 4 minutes now, and you can see water still sitting on top of the soil. That's not good. This is taking much, much longer than I had anticipated it taking. 12 minutes, 35 seconds in. 17 minutes, 15 seconds. I should have set up 5 of these tests to run simultaneously. We're 26 minutes in, and if you look carefully inside this tube here, you can see toward the center there's water along the edges, and in the center still. We'll call it 27 minutes, but I think it's being generous. It's probably closer to 30. This is what I generally call field C. Eventually I'll put pigs on it, but so far we've had just cows on it. The breeder pigs are there, feeder pigs are way over there, and I just did the soil test over there. So let's try this right here and see what we get. That may seem like an odd place to put the cylinder, but this field has a mix of chicory, sorghum sudan grass, crabgrass, and clovers. So I split the chicory plant and then used a little bit of the sorghum sudan grass that's regrowing, primarily because I think it's the best standard of measurement for this type field. Last year I planted some sorghum sudan grass and had mediocre success with it. This year I had much better success with it. Grazed it with the cows 2 different times. It's mid to late September. Assuming we get some rain here in the next couple of days, I think we'll get a third grazing. It won't be nearly as thick, but it should still perform fairly well. I'm 28 minutes in and there's still tad bits of water in the bottom of this. The water's come off in some areas, but you can see on the edge it's a little bit lower over here. So I'm going to call this one at 28 minutes. When it's taken that long to absorb water, an extra minute or two, I'm not sure makes a whole lot of difference, but we'll see. So this is still field C. This is just about 300 feet or so farther south in the field. And the reason I wanted to check it is the sorghum sudan grass grew much, much thicker here this year. It's still not quite as thick as we normally get it growing, but it did perform better down here. Sit down. So what I wanted to see, so if we produced more dry matter, does it make a difference this first year? We're at 20.5 minutes and we're just about, and on this edge there's just a bit of water. And I don't know if you can tell, but the water's basically been absorbed 5 to 7 minutes faster than the other section on this field C here. I don't know that it means a whole lot other than it's just an interesting little factoid. This is the first year I've grazed pigs on this paddock. It's part of the 10-acre field that we've been growing cover crops on. It's the first time we've grazed with pigs out here on this part of the field, and I'm interested to see how it performs. You can tell that the buckwheat is flowering. The nectar-loving beneficial insects like honeybees, mason bees, and many others are having a field day on this buckwheat. I don't know if you can hear them all. We're 26 minutes in and the water is just about gone, about the same on this little edge here. So really there wasn't a whole lot of difference here with all the cover crops that are growing right now. This is field B. It's in that same 10-acre section as field A. So we're on the far eastern side of that field. We've had pigs over here for 2 years and for an extended period of time. And in fact, you can see that the daikon radishes are growing so much better here than they have on other parts of the farm. And that's in large part because we've had pigs here longer, and I think we have a little bit more soil life. I don't know that we have a much more measurable amount of soil organic matter, but we certainly have better growth out of this little area of the field. But to be honest with you, I don't expect any more significant results than the other parts of this farm. It just takes a lot of time to build soil health, but we'll see. 21 minutes in, and the water level is right there. It's dropped some, but it doesn't look like this is any better than the other parts of the field. My goodness. I just got back and we've infiltrated for this bit of water in 5 minutes. I don't know how long it took because I was expecting it to take 15 or 20 minutes. On the corner right here where we keep our sows, there's about 5 acres that have had them cover crops the longest. I've grazed cattle and I've used pigs on this part of the farm. That first test of 4 minutes and 53 seconds with the water infiltrating into the soil in that amount of time blew me away. But it's dramatically quicker than on the other part of the farm where I have not been growing cover crops or grazing with pigs.